Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I'm your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Aquarius in February 2019. What's going on, Aquarius? How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. Hope everything in your life is going fabulously. Aquarius, if you're new around here, welcome. I appreciate you stopping by. And if you're a returning viewer, you kind of know the deal already. That's your main spread there. I've shuffled off camera to sort of save time. What I'll do now is I'll shuffle for your outcome and your overall energy. Excuse me. Once all cards are out and they're lying face up, that is when the reading begins. You know the drill. There's going to be a timestamp in the description box below. If you want to click there, you can jump straight to when the reading starts. And also down there, you will find the information you need if you want to get a personal reading with me. Readings are $25. Steps are pretty clear, but if you have any questions, feel free to email me before you place an order. That's totally okay. All right? Yeah, I'm pretty much over the colds, plural, more than one, that I had in January. So if I do have to stop the camera, I don't think I will, but if I do, I apologize ahead of time because, aside from the little clearing of the throat I just did, I really don't want to do all that, sneezing and coughing on camera. I think it's just gross. So yeah, let's go ahead and get your outcome for February, okay? Outcome for Aquarius in February 2019, please. Wow. This is on the table, and this one is on the floor. And we don't do any more than, we can't do more, so I have decisions to make. I mean, I don't think I can extend it by adding these together, but it's a Five of Pentacles, Three of Pentacles situation. Oh, boy. Something is telling, I don't take more than two in a position, but something is telling me to take them together. Am I taking these together? Yes, gosh. Okay, so I'm making such an exception for you guys as my opposite sign and my moon sign. I guess I feel a little bit of an affinity towards you, but that is a big, ugh, we just can't do more than this, but they're saying I have to. So fine, this is what we're going to work with. Lucky you, let's flip this card and see what's going on. Boy, oh boy. It's a thing. It's a thing, totally. You have a thing going on here. Boy. Alright, so please show me Aquarius in February 2019. Oh, and by the way, I totally forgot. I'm so sorry before I get way back into your stuff. Happy birthday for you guys who are celebrating in February. I know you guys started at the end of January, but for those who are celebrating this month, happy birthday. Hope you guys have a great time, okay? Alright, show me Aquarius in February 2019. Please show me Aquarius in February 2019. Please show me. Really? Okay. Here? Yep. Now you're starting in your triplet. For those who have been with me for a while, you know the triplets don't come out very often. And when they do, they kind of give a supplemental reading to whatever's going on in the remaining 4 cards. And as often as they come out, I've rarely started in the triplets. So this is interesting. That's something for possibly that's significant to someone. The other significant thing is 2. And I noted it with Libra's reading. Gemini had a triplet, Libra had a triplet, and now you, Aquarius, have a triplet. So all 3 air signs have triplets. So there were 3 air signs, you each got triplets, triplet, triplet, triplet. Maybe that means something to someone. Maybe there's this repeating pattern of 3s for you. I don't know. But Pisces is the last one. If Pisces doesn't get a triplet, then all you air signs got something going on that's very similar. I don't recall what I said in their readings, so if you want to cross-watch those or skim through them to kind of piece together some grander thing that's going on, I don't know. I'm really not up on the astrology right now, so I can't tell you if there's anything commonly that might affect air signs more. So That's a long spiel after I've gone and picked up the card, but here we go. All right, Aquarius, you come into February as the Two of Cups. So alchemy, right? Between you and someone else. You know, this is what some people will deem a soulmate card. And I'm not of the mind that a soulmate is always a romantic partner. You can be soulmates with non-romantic partners. So if you're already like, oh, I don't have a soulmate, I'm not in love with anybody, I'm not dating, you know, take it with a grain of salt. For me, soulmate is a very wide net that many people can be cast over many relationships that you have in your life. So if you want to use that word or don't use that word, it's totally your choice. I will read it the way that I'm feeling it, which is the whole underpinning of empathic, right? You want this. You do want to have alchemy. You do want to have connection with other people or another particular person, if it's not just people in general. I think right now, Aquarius, you are in some ways trying to make this happen, okay? Because look at these two. They're in like this little lab. They're both pouring the contents of their beakers or their glassware into a common glassware. You know what? I have to fix something here. Hold on a second. Okay, that was really quick because the screen was not... technical difficulties, I apologize. But, so you are making an effort, or you want to make an effort, or you desire the chance to make an effort to combine what you can bring to the table, what your energy is, combined with what someone else can bring to the table, what their energy is, and make some wonderful magic together. Now again, it does not have to be romantic. This can just be platonic love or platonic connections. These can be soulmates or deep connections in your work environment. It's really open to interpretation. That's why I don't subscribe to, oh, soulmates, cutesy. It's not always that way, because we all have connections with people that don't end up being anything near romantic, but they're quite significant and they're very impactful, informative, right? And I think that's what you want. I think, Aquarius, right now, you're striving to find your equal. You're striving to find someone who can get what you're putting down. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make... That's kind of funny. I was just watching something before I meditated and I came on here to do this video. I was watching something and someone said, I just want to make crazy science with you. And it's funny that I sort of just watched that. Obviously not in the tarot reading, but yeah, I think that's kind of what it is. I want to make crazy science experiments with you. I want to, you know, be inventive with you. I want to be creative with you. I want to be adventurous with you. I want with you. So there is this desire for there to be a shared invested interest with another person in whatever realm we're talking about. And I think, didn't I mention? Yeah, I mentioned as you and I are Zodiac opposites. You know, Leo and Aquarius are each other's opposites. They're in both Zodiac signs. There is this archetype about wanting others to do something with us, right? So often what you'll hear from tarot readers and other healers or psychics and things like that, or people like that, excuse me, is that Leo leads with the heart and they want to share their heart with the world, and they're kind of the beacon or the archetype or the demonstrator of what it means to be living your life with a big heart and wanting people to kind of wanting to envelop others in that heart space. Aquarius, yours would be the same, only applicable to your mind. So you want to be able to, like I said, make crazy science with someone. I have this crazy idea. I have this brilliant idea. I have this exciting new idea. I have this creative idea. But it's not from a heart space, not to say that you're heartless, but it's more from a mindful space. It's more from where, you know, I mean, if I'm honest, like, that's kind of like, what I'm feeling is, if someone can get you intellectually, they've got you for life. Aquarius is what I'm feeling. The same way with the Leo. If you can win a Leo's heart, you've got them for life. If you can win over Aquarius in their mind space, wow, you've done it. And so that's what you're really looking for. You don't mind having other types of connections. They're fine. They are what they are. But you're looking for that ultimate person who can stimulate your brain, stimulate your the gray matter that sits between your ears. Like, it's literally not down to intelligence, but keeping your interest mentally. In some cases, for some of you, especially since you're watching this reading, and maybe you'll watch other tarot readings, it's not only your mind, but also your spirit and how you intellectualize or how you debate or cultivate a certain philosophy about the universe, about creation, about human existence or sentient existence. And that really gets your motor going, okay? It's not to say that every time you speak to someone, whether it's a new person or someone that you already have in your life who you think could be this soulmate connection, that every time you talk to these people, you are getting into, you know, the creation of the universe, and you're like, oh, what do you know about Carl Sagan? And oh my God, I loved him. You're not like delving deep into all of your conversations, but when you do get to those deep conversation points, you are very interested in, is that my soulmate? Romantic or not, is that my soulmate? And that's the other thing for me personally as a reader. There are many soulmates in your life. I've got two right now. I've got two soulmates, my sister and my very best friend. And there's just this copacetic energy. And that's the thing, is I'm waking up to that realization. It's not like I've known this since I was like 5 years old or something. No, it's very recent that I've come to understand that. And so for me, in this reading for you, I don't think you're looking for, quote unquote, the one. You're looking for someone who fits this criteria. You know what I mean? Like, I think you would also, not all of you, but there would be a few of you who would understand what I mean, where we do have soulmates, more than one, and sometimes they come into your life for a time, and then they leave, and sometimes they come back. Sometimes you meet them and they stay forever. It really all depends. And so you're just curiously wanting to know. You're like, I feel like you're constructing a puzzle, or like I said, you're like running an experiment. Put this in here, heat it to this degree point, then take it from the heat, add this, blah, 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 reduction, test it. You're running this whole experiment, and you're trying to piece together, who is this person? When or where will I meet them? Have I met them already? Etc., etc., etc. Pardon me. And some of you have met them, I think, or you're about to meet them, okay? Or you're discovering, oh, this isn't one of my soulmates. Yeah. And that's going to be so good for you. So good. I feel this is very much a now energy, by the way, the triplet that we're in. Sometimes the triplet talks about the past, but in this case, I think it's talking about your present and or future. And what you have going on above this meeting or this fixation or wonder that you have about whoever your soulmate is, this Two of Cups energy, you have the Nine of Cups and the Fool card. So the Nine of Cups would show this is what you're wishing for. This is what you're hoping for. This is like the grand, sort of like the icing on the cake. It's like, okay, the cake is good, but put some icing on that thing, and oh my God, we got it made. We got a winner, So, and it's also very celebratory, right? Like this woman standing in a bar. Maybe it's an open bar, maybe you're going to a wedding with an open bar and you're meeting all these new people or something like that. And I just feel like there's like this welcoming, festive energy around this. And the Nine of Cups isn't always that way, especially if you look at the traditional tarot, the Rider-Waite deck. It's a man seated on a chair. He has the 9 cups in back of him and he has his arms crossed. So he comes across kind of miserly, kind of like, this is my greatest wish and nobody else can have access to it. He's very like guarded with whatever he's wishing for. This is a very openly declared wish that you have, or desire that you have, or goal that you have, okay? You have the 9 cups in front of you, right? So anybody can come up and grab one, again, like an open bar, and everybody can see them clearly. So you're not hiding what you're doing or what you're looking for. So if you are, let's say for those who this is a romantic thing, if you're out there dating and you are not messing around, there's no FWB here, there's no, what is that, ethically monogamous or excuse me, ethically non-monogamous, excuse me. I'm DTF, like you're not into any of that. You're swiping left on all those people. If someone says, I'm looking for something serious, I'm looking to settle down, and it could be the reverse. You know, for not to knock what I was just, not to make it sound like I was knocking what I was just talking about. Whatever you want, you're declaring it openly for everybody to see. So if you do, Aquarius, want FWB, DTF, non-monogamy, if that's your bag, you want to find your soulmate who fits that criteria, okay? If you're not into any of those things, you want your soulmate to fit that criteria too. It all depends on where you're standing. So, and that's the thing is, she's posted up there behind this bar. She's not going anywhere. You know, she's clocked in. She's ready to work her shift behind the bar, get some tips and all that kind of stuff. So there's this idea of I'm here where I know I'm happy, or I'm in a place where I know what's going to make me happy. I know what my wish is going to look like when it comes to me. When I introduce myself to a person or they introduce themselves to me, I will know. You know, maybe not in the first instant, but you know what I mean? Like, you are firmly standing where I feel, where you're meant to be. Maybe you've come to like some recent realizations. Maybe you've gone through that period of the DTF and the FBW and the casual dating, and now, you know, you're in your late 20s, early 30s, or maybe in some cases in your 50s, and now you're like, you know what, I'm ready to settle down. I've lived that bachelor or bachelorette style for too long. I'm over that. Or the reverse. You know, I was married for 20 years and now I'm divorced. Let me go out here and see what fish are in the sea. There's a lot of garbage in the sea, by the way. That's just a warning. That was just me, not as your tarot reader, just as someone commenting, like, there's a lot of garbage out there, though, in this, literally. And the other part of this is, like, I think you feel, like, this already feels like confidence. And the Fool isn't necessarily known for his confidence. He's normally known for his bravery, his willingness to take that leap of faith and jump off that cliff. Well, in this case, a rooftop. This is the steampunk tarot, by the way, in case you were wondering. And just go wherever gravity pulls him down to. If it pulls me down and I land on my feet, cool. If it pulls me down and I break both of my knees, okay too. Like, he's really bold in that way. And I think that's kind of what you're prepared to do. I think that you're prepared to take the hits, you know, go on some bummy dates if it eventually leads to this. I'm not afraid to kiss a few frogs before I find my prince. And again, it doesn't have to be romantic. This could be you're going and you're interviewing, or, you know, you're sort of looking for an ideal business partner. You have this great idea, or you have this creative idea. Maybe you want to make a movie or something like that. I don't know. And you're looking for someone to write with you. And so you call up a friend from college and it's like, hey, I have this idea. You know, we worked on some good stuff while we were in college together. What are you up to? It's like, oh, I've got 5 kids now. And you're like, click, that's not the one. Or, you know, something will indicate to you who is your perfect partner in this creative or workspace or your romantic life and who is not. And once you find that person, I think whatever held you back before, whatever sort of was in your way before, is like totally swept aside. And this being a chimney sweep, that kind of fits, right? Chimney sweeps, but you sweep that disappointment, those false starts, totally out of the way, and you dive head first into whatever or whatever circumstances come before you soon. Like, I feel this is like either right now, some of you are in this as you're watching this, or some of you will be in it very soon, is how I feel it. This is great. I love this for you. Like, that combination to me, like, I mean, the only warning I think would be people outside of you, and maybe some of you might have this internal dialogue, but I think, if anything, because there's this dog here, right? This little white dog. And he's a companion to the Fool. Oh, please focus. Come on. Okay. So the white dog, he's a companion to the Fool. Like, he's going to support the Fool when the Fool decides to jump off of this roof. But the dog is worried about what happens when the Fool jumps. Like, I'm gonna support you, my friend, but be careful. So I feel like some people might be cautioning you, like, slow down, Aquarius. Or, you know, maybe in the dating situation, you're going out on multiple dates within a few weeks. Maybe you're, you know, meeting lots of people, saying yes to having, you know, drinks at happy hour, something like that. And you tell your friend, and your friend's like, oh my God, didn't you just have a date like 2 weeks ago? Or not 2 weeks ago, 2 days ago? Like, weren't you seeing such and such? And you're like, yeah, I saw that person, and, you know, it just didn't work out. So now I'm going to go date it. And so that might be totally different to what you're doing now. If someone is seeing you be in a stable 9-to-5 job, and now you're gung-ho about, I'm going to start writing this movie, I'm going to create this television show, I'm going to write this, I'm going to try and find artists who can work with me on creating a graphic novel, blah, 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 and you're just some suburban housewife in her 40s, like, you know, your other soccer moms are just like, what are you talking about? Krista, what do you mean? Like a comic book? And you're like, no, it's a graphic novel. It's totally different than a comic book. It's a totally different format. It tells a longer story, a more in-depth story, da-da-da-da-da. And they're just like, how much Marlowe have you had? How much wine have you been drinking? You know, it's just like, they will support you. It's just kind of like they're cautious at first. So that's the caveat there. But I think, you know, whatever. That's just people being people, right? Or little dogs being little dogs. Now, what's going on outside here? Outside of your triplet? Changes, sure. Wow. Transformation, they're telling me here. That's interesting. Okay. So I'm getting that there's a dropping of your intensity, or dropping of your sharpness. This Queen of Swords, she's come up a few times in some of the readings. I can't remember whose she's come up in. But this queen is just so different than the traditional interpretation. And that's the reason I use different decks, is to give different interpretations as opposed to just using the Rider-Waite over and over and over again, right? So traditionally, the Queen of Swords, she holds her sword upright. She's very guarded. She's very fierce. She's very intense. And I feel that this is a more docile, calmer, more open, or willing to negotiate, willing to hear other people's, like, she's not as hard. And that's the thing that the traditional interpretation of the Queen of Swords is about. She's a hardened queen. She's been through the storm. She's been through tough times. She's been, sometimes she's classified as a divorcee or a widow. So that might be true for some of you. And, you know, if you're in either of those parties, that sucks. All kinds of losses are hard. So condolences if you have lost a partner in some form or fashion. And traditionally, the Queen of Swords would be resolute. And I don't feel that you're not that. I think you would be resolute. I think you're still in your power, still centered in yourself in some type of way. But you're softer now. You know, certain losses or breakups or hardships in life, people can get really hard. People can get really, like, stoic and stern and closed off. And that's sort of the traditional attributes of the Queen of Swords, specifically, of course. But for you, Aquarius, I feel that's like being turned down. So if you have been a little rigid, if you have been a little defensive, if you have been a little irritable or angry when it comes to new partners or dating or trying to find an ideal business partner, I think, not that you're going to be relaxed in your search or relaxing in the criteria or what you're specifically looking for. I think that if you just don't find what you want, you're going to soften up. You're not going to let the no's, the rejections, the unanswered emails or texts really, like, grate you. It's going to be like, okay, their loss. Or, it wasn't meant to be. Even though I thought this person would be a great addition to my creative team, or I thought this person would be able to help me in terms of garnering context or finding funding, or I thought this person and I would have a great connection. We were talking so well through text, and all of a sudden they ghosted me. I just thought we would have an amazing second date, and we never hooked up again. that's okay. Like, you're letting it go. The Queen of Swords would traditionally have a hard time letting it go. And I mean, look, she's in this lovely dress, the sword is down, and she's being escorted up away from her throne, right? Very much relaxed, relenting, not adhering to that stern, cold, distant, or aloof energy that the Queen of Swords can sometimes have. I feel that you're definitely, and the Queen of Swords, of course, why am I emphasizing this? The swords, of course, dealing with air sign energy, so that's relative to you. So you are toning yourself down in some form or fashion. And what did I say? A rank down or a change of rank or something like that? I don't remember what I said. What I think you're transitioning into is the Knight of Cups. This thing, I swear to God, you know, I want to rant so bad, but I don't want to waste your time. This camera is just on my nerves. Anyway, you're transitioning into this Knight of Cups energy, right? So you're stepping down a rank. You know, after the Knight comes the Queen, and then after the Queen comes the King. So you're going down a rung, and not to say like you're demoting yourself or you're lessening your expectations. I don't see you lessening that. I think you're somehow lessening, like I said, your intensity. And what do you put in its place? You put in the Knight of Cups. Now, the Knight of Cups can be kind of frivolous. He can be kind of flighty. He can be kind of, and I shouldn't say, well, it doesn't matter. Gender is irrelevant. But in this deck, many of the higher arcanas are female. I think I don't think there's a male knight in this deck. So I think the only males in the court cards are the kings. Neither here nor there. But anyway, Knight of Cups, like I said, can be flighty. Can seem that they're erratic or impulsive, emotionally impulsive, or, you know, out of just kind of doing things in a weird way. Like the Knight of Cups can be that, like he would be like that anti-hero or like that aloof artist that gets like idolized or pined after in a romantic comedy, right? The troubled artist, you know, the brooding intellectual. Like, oh, he's so hot in his turtleneck and his glasses. Like that one. It's not the incredibly attractive, handsome bachelor who lives in a penthouse and has a lot of money. You know, this is like the unsung hero of heartthrobs, okay? So that's what I think you're getting into. And that fits you. That whole unexpected attraction, whether it's romantic or not, that is you, Aquarius. Like I said before, about your attraction to people or what you're looking for. It's like, if you get my head going, if you get my mind going, we'll say that. If you get my mind going, I will love you till the end of times. And you could have 3 heads. You could have 15 legs. I don't care what you look like. I don't care how much money you have. It's really about the character of a person and to certain degrees, their integrity and what they bring forth in terms of like an honest portrayal of themselves. If someone is trying to be cool, buying the latest gadgets, wearing the coolest clothes, yet they go home and they don't have furniture in their house, that shows an insecurity to you and you're not interested. If they try to keep up in conversation with you, but you get the hint that they're really not interested in what you're talking about, that's not going to work for you. The Knight of Cups, even though he can be kind of flighty and he can be kind of aloof, I think there is always a tinge of honesty in whatever he's talking about or whatever he's doing, especially if we're talking about romantic interests or endeavors, right? Because, I mean, he is kind of a romantic at heart. He's... like, he's charming. And again, I'm saying he, but it doesn't have to be a male. You don't have to be male to resonate with this. It would apply to you as well if you're a female. So in tandem with the Queen of Swords, I feel that there's like a little break, like a timeout from all those queenly duties or those queenly qualities of being so strong, so resolute, so in some cases cutthroat. Let me go ahead and take a break from that and get into my more loving space. And that could be important to you right now, Aquarius. Maybe you're trying to find that balance between your head and your heart. I don't want to overthink things. I don't want to approach everything from a logical, and maybe that's it. Maybe you've kind of expanded your criteria. I mean, we talked a little about criteria over there in your triplet, but maybe you've expanded it. Like maybe before you were really like adamant, if I'm going to date a guy, he's got to be at least 5'11", aka 6 feet. You might as well just say 6 feet, right? And now you're like, you know what? If a guy's 5'8" and he's, getting me, stimulating my mind, I'm going to give him a shot. So some of you might be opening yourselves up a little bit more and kind of relaxing is how I'm feeling it. Like you're just not being as much of a hard ass. And I feel that this is a process, okay? This is a process. This doesn't happen overnight. It's not like you wake up one morning, you look at your Tinder profile, you look at your Tinder matches, and you're like, oh, he's perfect, but he's 5'8", and you like swipe left on him. No. And then you're like, you know what? I shouldn't do that. And by lunchtime, you hit the rewind button, assuming you pay for that feature. And you're like, okay, Mr. 5'8", who's practically perfect in every other way. Let me give you a shot. It's not instant like that. This has happened over time. And some of you still might be working on this, or you go back and forth. Some of you might go back and forth between being quite rigid to being a little bit more flexible. Okay? Wow. I didn't even notice that. Check that out. I was just viewing it as like an energetic thing. They look very similar, no? Look very similar. Raven-haired queen, got some angles, got some nice features there in the profile, and then maybe she gets her hair cut, maybe she gets a trim, and she becomes the Knight of Cups. So that could also be what's going on for some of you. Some of you might be changing your look. You are the same person, you just look a little different now that you are looking for business partners. Maybe you're like, okay, I want to get this book deal, or I want to start in on this script. I want to do something. So let me go ahead and look the part. Let me go ahead and throw out my pantsuit, throw out my business pantsuit, or throw out, my button-ups, and let me go ahead and wear a casual halter or a casual sweater or something. So there just might be a change in your physical appearance that mirrors or somehow reflects to everybody else, hey, this is an old Aquarius here. This is newfangled Aquarius. This is Aquarius 2.0. Okay? And I think that you transitioned or are transitioning to a new version of yourself because you had stagnation. Yeah. And they kind of work together too, I think. Six of Swords reversed. I'll show you this card upright so you can become used to it. So obviously, from what you can see in the illustration, this would be a card of movement. And traditionally, that's how it's understood as well. Let's get out of here. Let's move on to something better. Let's get away from this distressing situation. Let's get away from this boring or unfulfilling situation, no matter what area of your life that we're talking in. Sometimes it's also just like a state of mind because it is your sword suit. So that's your mental capacities, how you think, how you rationalize, how you speak and communicate to other people. So because it's in reverse and it's underneath your queen, I think that maybe you spent a long time sitting on that throne, being kind of unavailable or aloof. Maybe some of you were depressed. Maybe some of you were uninspired or feeling despondent about your circumstances, feeling like, this is the best of what I can get. I might as well strap in for this 9 to 5 for the next 30 years of my life. And then one day, you started to think, no, that's not necessarily what I need. That's not going to get me what I want. And let me go ahead and start to make these changes. And I feel like this is kind of there. Because the other thing about this Six of Swords in reverse for you is there's a comfortability here. Even though you may have been in a situation, a relationship, a time in your life that was certainly unbearable or unsatisfactory in some type of way, as a fixed sign Aquarius, and as what I deem to be the most, I personally as a reader deem to be one of the most ironically mature signs, and I'll explain why I say ironically. I think you can get stuck like anybody else can, but I feel as though because of routine, because of predictability, because of comfortability, and because of your own ability to withstand and continue on in the good fight and continue to, show up to work every day, produce good quality product, make sales, make connections, get your bottom line met, go to these meetings, give fabulous presentations, whatever you're able to do, even if it grinds you, even if it breaks you on the inside. I think your performance in these roles and your performance in these circumstances was consistent, even if it was boring, even though it sapped your energy, even though you went home at night and you cried, and this again could be a relationship thing. I'm with this person, we don't have anything in common anymore, or they're treating me this way, or there's no connection, there's no passion, there's no this, there's no that, and you might still be involved in that in some type of way. So there's a caution here around the Six of Swords. Not only I think you spend a lot of time there, I think that you have a potential to fall back there, especially if you continue in the relationship or in the 9-to-5 as you are thinking about and preparing to go on this new endeavor. You might have the Tinder app and you might be swiping left and right, sitting right next to your boyfriend or girlfriend of like 6 years. You know what I mean? And that is kind of strange to me. I think you might want to work on reconciling that, whether it's romantic or whether that's work. And not to say in either scenario, you need to dump the boyfriend or the girlfriend. You need to quit the job, come tomorrow, come Monday morning. No. Don't be rash. Don't make quick, impulsive decisions. But be aware of how your desire to move on is somewhat hindered by your slow release, and so going back to what I was saying about ironically mature, I think Aquarius, a lot of, if they've met a good many of you, they know you take care of yourself and you are very on top of your game. But you revel in being a rebel underneath it all. You might go to work, put on your suit and tie every day, do your hair and your makeup, and you go in, you look polished, you look presentable, you look like someone of esteem. You go into your relationships, you send, you wake up your boyfriend or girlfriend, you say good morning, you give them kisses and affections and everything like that. You play that role, but secretly underneath it all, you secretly want to rebel. You secretly want a little bit of an edge. And that's why I say it's ironically mature, because on the surface, you can play that game. And you do play that game. That's why it's in reverse. You're not moving away from it. You play that game. But secretly, your desire is to change. Your secret desire is to move away from or reinvent. Even if you stay in the same job or you stay in the same relationship, you want a revitalization. You want a new paint job. Put a new coat of paint on this thing. This might be the same 1988 Honda I've driven since I was in high school, but dang it, I want a new coat of paint on it. And you go to the mechanic and they're like, why are you painting this clunker? It's the paint that we're going to put on the car is worth more than the car in total. This is kind of crazy. And you're like, that's me. I'm Aquarius. I'm quirky and I'm kind of crazy. Now give me the new paint job on my 1988 vehicle. And they're like, okay, sure. So there's I hope that makes sense to you. Like, your character, much like the other two air signs, can be kind of divergent or even conflicting sometimes. I want this thing, I want this predictable thing, or I can do this, maybe if you don't want it, I can do this predictable, rhythmic, repeating thing, going to work, staying in a relationship, making it work. You're fixed and you're an air sign. You can do that. But those same qualities bug you. Oh, I keep doing this. I keep staying here. I keep dealing with the same people. I keep dealing with the same clients. I keep doing the same work day in, day out. I keep sleeping with the same person. I've slept with the same person for 15 years. And you go crazy. So instead of throwing the whole thing out, you're like, okay, let's just spice it up in the bedroom, or let me get a new role in my workplace. I want to not only do these job tasks, let me do these other job tasks, or let me start a committee, or let me join this committee, something like that. If it's not a full move away from, it has to be some type of alteration, is what I'm feeling. That's a long time talking about that. I feel that there's a lot here for you. And I think it's, like I said, cyclical. You will come back to this. Not that you will stay here, but I feel this energy will repeat itself to you. It will show itself to you again. And you will have to approach it in a different way. If you want to change, of course. Now, right next to it, you have the Five of Swords. So 5 and 6. Interesting. And the way that I read them, it's 6 to 5. So it's a decrease, right? Didn't I say that? I said a step down, rank down. Okay. So I was like, why are you telling me about? Because I don't do math stuff. I'm not good at math. Not good at science. Okay. So I rarely do, like, other readers, they'll add up the swords and they'll give you something about the numerology. And I will do that rarely, especially if it's a single card. I'll give you the numerology, but I rarely add them up and do something. But in this case, they're like 6 to 5, decrease. I'm like, okay, so what? 6 minus 5 is 1? Like, I just sat here in my head. I was like, 6 minus 5 is 1. Ace of Swords, like, what's the significance of that? I'm not feeling it. But they're like, decrease. And I'm like, okay. So again, Queen of Swords stepping down to the Knight of Swords. 6 of Swords stepping down to the 5 of Swords. So there's this idea of pulling back or lessening the, like I said before, lessening the intensity, lessening something. Lessening, which is a fun thing to say 3 times in a row. Go ahead and try it. So that's significant to you in some kind of way. For some of you, doing less will be more. And for some of you, doing more will lessen something. Again, they're being really cryptic, but you can decipher it. I have faith in you. Now, your 5 of Swords is... There's usually a lot of conflict involved in the 5 of Swords. It's usually the aftermath of a conflict, a pretty brutal, pretty harrowing difficulty. And I'm not feeling that. I'm feeling a bit of like a shell game kind of thing. Like moving parts, like too many moving parts. Or being held accountable for the shell game, being held accountable for all the moving parts. So, is that it? When you start this change, this development into the Knight of Cups, and you kind of get wise to your own stuck energy, the changes that people see, the declarations you're making, the new actions you're taking, the new things that you're talking about, some people might have a discrepancy with you about that. Ooh. In terms of work, if you start doing things that are outside of your role without approval, you might be held accountable to that, and people might have an issue with you, your bosses, your managers, whoever. I appreciate your tenacity, Tammy, but that's not what you're paid to do. We need you to do this. Or, that's great, but that's not really a part of our core business, what you're trying to do, and we need you to stop doing that. So there's a detraction here from someone, from other people, okay? So it might be, and like I said, it can come with conflict or disagreements or arguments, so it can arise to that level, Aquarius. You can kind of get into some debates or verbal disagreements with people in terms of like your home life or your dating life. If, like I said, you could be swiping left while you're sitting right next to the person you've been dating, and they catch you, or you make it known, this is what I'm doing, and that would be kind of a crazy move, but I wouldn't put it past anybody, not just you, Aquarius, anybody to do that in this day and age. Like, yeah, I'm swiping right in front of you. We've been dating for 5 years, so what? Yeah. And that's, again, I don't want to take jabs at anybody. That's your choice. If that's what you're doing, you can do that. But obviously, if you do that, you run the risk of hurting someone's feelings or getting somebody like really riled up. Like, what are you doing? Repeat that? You're swiping on Tinder in front of me, and we're engaged or we're living together. It could easily turn into something. Or you're finding that up about someone else. But whatever it is, it's, number one, it's short-lived. It will be surmountable if it hasn't happened yet, okay? Or if it hasn't happened yet. Because I feel that this is sort of concurrent. Like I said, your triplet is like a little bit present, but also a little bit future. And this is kind of past and present. So I feel that they're kind of having a meeting in the middle, these two collections of energy. And it's also would be kind of disturbing to people if you're telling them, I want to leave, I want to start in on this new thing, new creative projects, new jobs, new relationships, but then you actually don't go anywhere. That could be a conflict for you. And then again, they're bringing me back to the word decrease that I used. People might see you decreasing in your drive, or your change in focus, you're de-emphasizing something, you're decreasing your attention towards something, upsets people. Why are you doing that, Aquarius? Live up to your potential. Keep doing what you're doing already. And you're like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Or it's not really my priority anymore. And people are like, what? That's crazy. You should really continue to do what you're doing. So there's something about just the change is not going to be welcomed by everyone. Like I said, you might have the worrying best friend, like the dog in the Fool card. And here I feel the issue is, maybe you were the guy in red, and I'm feeling that as like a salesman or something like that. And the woman was like, she bought this sword, but now she's like, but wait, I need this. And he's like, well, I'm packing up my shop. I'm not selling swords anymore. But she's like, but I bought this sword from you. I need you to help me, with the warranty or something like that. And you're like, I don't really do that anymore. That's not really my business. I'm not in the business of swords anymore. And she's like, I just bought this from you 5 minutes ago. So there's like the changes that you're undertaking, they're not sudden to other people. It's just like I said, there's a discrepancy about it. It's like, you can't go changing things, Aquarius. I'm used to you being this way. I'm used to you doing that for me or providing me with this. And you're like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not in that business anymore. I don't sell swords anymore. Okay? So I hope that makes sense to you. Now, this outcome that you got, which again is 2, and I don't normally accept 2, but they're like, take it, okay. So 5 of Pentacles and 3 of Pentacles. Now, perhaps they want me to see the motion. A lot of your reading is about motion, moving from one state of being to another. So the 5 of Pentacles, being cast out in the cold, being sort of adrift in a snowstorm, no place to call home, not feeling displaced, feeling as if, you're kind of like a rolling stone, but not in a good way. Just like terrible circumstances, right? And the 3 of Pentacles is definitely inside. You have this inside-outside, so a total change of environment. And so the 3 of Pentacles would move you inside to a safe, warm location, to a safe, warm bit of solace, where you can find yourself, where you can build and you can express yourself in a different way, So, Aquarius, I think you're getting this in 2 ways. I think you aren't fully at that changeover point yet. Like I said, your triplet is like present to future, and who knows how long that future is sort of being cast out. Also a change of fortune here, The 5, again, is dire straits. It's difficult, comes from a place of loss or this self-concept or this self-appointed idea of loss, and moving towards making gains, because the 3s are about planning. They're about laying the groundwork for something in the future. Okay, so you might be coming away from a loss. Like I said earlier, for some of you, a loss of a relationship, either a breakup or a widow or widower kind of situation, and to get back into working on yourself, getting back to working on what might make you happy in a relationship, what might fulfill you in a dating scenario. You know, some of you might have recently lost that job that was stable, that was secure. Pentacles talk about stability, financial and otherwise. And so you may have recently lost your job, or you're about to let go of your job, and you want to move towards something that is going to build for your future again. So transition is very key for you. And of course, I don't know who all these people are, but there's tons of people here. You've got some people here. You've got the partnership here. You have this potential to have a lot of people in your business for the better and for the worse. And so some people will support you and some people will not support you. And I think you'll have to be discerning over who those people are. For the most part, though, especially since we're talking about movement and how, I don't know about you, but I kind of get this pathway here from 5 to 3. So I think that you're moving towards people, or you're moving towards situations that are going to be more supportive of you. Because the 3 of Pentacles is always about negotiation and contracts and working with other people who are skilled, who are knowledgeable, who are experts in the field, whatever we're talking about. Or just meeting dynamic people that you can connect with if this is, again, a dating or romantic situation. So, good. Now I see why I had to take both. Because if I just took the 5, I'd be like, so all of that's great, but I don't know about I don't know about that. So, thanks, guys, for making me take those 2 cards. Alright, guys, for your overall, you have the Chariot card. Oh, weird. You know, I can't wait. No offense. I can't wait to end this video so I can change the settings on this camera. Yeah, no offense. I've enjoyed doing your reading. I always enjoy doing the readings. But anyway, overall, the Chariot card of Cancer. So you might have a Cancer of significance in your life, but you do not have to. And this is that decided energy, charging forward, getting a plan and moving out on that plan and like executing that plan. Sometimes it's not the easiest with the Chariot card because you have to make 2 sides, or assumingly 2 opposing sides of an issue or of an idea come together and work together, okay? And that was reflected also, again, in your 3 of Pentacles. It's reflected in your 2 of Cups there. It's reflected also a little bit in this kerfuffle over here in the 5 of Swords. So coming together, getting this copacetic, cohesive energy or intention within yourself and with other people is super important right now for you, Aquarius. And getting to that what I'm going to call for now, that melding phase, that meeting and that I wanted me to say magnet, but maybe that's how it feels, like getting to this magnetized, like just, what is that? I'm not science and math, and they're showing me like 2 like cells coming together, or 2 beads of water coming together. I'm like, why are you showing me that? But that melding thing is how I can best describe it. There's like a melding going on, and that's important because you're in a shitstorm to some extent. So that meeting of 2 different entities and that melding together is sort of the propulsion, sort of the fuel in the tank, right? And I'm not trying to say like you can't be successful without the meeting of 2 different entities. I think that finding that balance and finding that common middle ground between yourself and another person, between yourself in a particular circumstance, or between yourself and different sides of yourself, different polarized sort of perspectives of yourself, will be the driving force. Like just even beginning to vibe will be will be the thing that gets you flying out the gate. What they want me to mention to you is that once you get a taste, don't forget who's in the driver's seat. You, okay? If you just begin to work with someone in a creative way, don't let them take control of the project. Don't forget you have input and valuable knowledge that needs to be recognized in the project. If you start dating someone and it's amazing, you guys are vibing in such a way, don't let that person take the lead in the relationship. Don't default to them. Don't give over the decision making to them. Make sure you keep yourself in the loop, or keep yourself as an active partner, especially if you're coming from a place of stagnation with a partner where things just got dull as like a beige wall, you know. Don't forget to throw some color up on that wall as well, okay? All right, Aquarius, that is going to be your reading for February 2019. I hope you guys liked it. If you do, you know what to do. There's a like button down there. You can also leave comments below. I would love to read those. Let me know how it resonated with you. You can also share the video across your social media pages. That would be amazing to me. If you want to tweet this out or put it on Facebook or put it down in your IG story or something like that, that'd be cool. And of course, please subscribe if you're not subscribed already. If you like what I do here, if this is the first time or the 5th time, I don't care. But if you like what you saw today, hit the subscribe button. Also click the notification bell because I'm working on trying to get some new content out here come springtime. I'm also working on something else. I gotta figure out if that's gonna work, so we're gonna figure some things out here. And if you want to keep on top of all of that, the notification bell through YouTube is going to reveal it to you, okay? All right, guys. Thank you so much for viewing this reading. I will be back in about 3 times? Oh, silly me. I will be back in about 3 weeks' time. That is what I wanted to say when I come and do your March readings, okay? Until then, thanks again so much for watching. Take care.